The last time I saw Carolina was in Florida. She was on the way to Mexico, aware of what will happen. We always were very much together, very silent, but we knew one another. I will miss her, the world will miss her. She was present to all. She was aware of needs. She was a friend.
I remember Carolina giving the 0 to 3 training course in Mecca, and she was a terrific lecturer. Her lecturing was very modest, very quiet, very calm, but she had everything and everybody in the palm of her hand. It was very interesting to see.
I had a privilege and honor and a joy of being one of Caro's voices in Russia, translating for her at Russian Montessori Institute. I remember very well what she said about playing with rice, macaroni and other food. She said, if you have ever held a child dying of hunger, of lack of food, you will never play with food. Once I asked her permission to talk to my colleague students and to tell them about the one who sent her to Russia, about Jesus Christ. She laughed and she said, "You may, you even must talk to them about him, but I don't guarantee they will hear you." This is a tribute to Carolina Gomez del Valle, from Russia with love.
One of my favorite memories about Carolina was when we went to Interlaken, Michigan for a Montessori retreat. She loved Interlaken. It had water, music, dance, and young people. And I think those were components in her life that she was very passionate about. She just loved just spending the whole week up there, listening to music, watching the dancers, going to the concerts, and of course, sharing Montessori with all of us. I know it was definitely one of my favorite times with her too. As far as the impact she had on my life, she was the one that encouraged me to start the school in our home. And that was in 1989. So for the last almost 30 years, it's been her guidance and direction that has led me to have a school in our home. I miss her every single day and think about her every single day, but feel so fortunate to have had the honor of being her friend.
The nicest thing about Carolina, or one of the many nice things about Carolina, was her warm smile. And she was so full of thoughtfulness and good ideas. And she was also very adventuresome all over the world. One of the nicest memories I have was going down the Wisconsin River on inner tubes with her. And then she came and she helped my wife set up her school. She arranged things for the children, and that was very interesting and educational. And I too am going to miss her a whole lot. She was someone really, really special.
Un abrazo, amigas y amigos montessorianos. Conocí a Carolina allá por 1997 y siempre la tengo en mis pensamientos y ha sido una gran inspiración. Carolina ha sido una de las personas que más cerca he tenido también, igual que otras compañeras montessorianas, pero déjenme decirle que ha sido una persona que me ha inspirado muchísimo. Abrazos desde Costa Rica, Marcela y yo.
One of my favorite memories of Carolina is when my son Gabe was just 6 months old and he was on the floor, but not yet crawling. And Carolina asked me, why did he have socks on? And I thought it was funny, and I said, because I'm cold. And when I finally took the socks off, he started crawling and crawled right over to Carolina. When he was little, she called him Gabrielindo, and she loved people, but I think she loved children the most. We will miss you, Carolina. Thanks.
My favorite memory of Caro is how she signed all her letters. Not just with good wishes and lots of love, but always in Spanish, con chorros de cariño. That was a very Mexican expression, meaning streams of love. And in fact, her entire life was exactly that, a stream of love. She had a lasting and invaluable impact on my life. I first met her in Mexico in the 60s when she and I were both starting out in Montessori and very excited about promoting Montessori education in our own country and throughout Latin America. I was privileged to witness her influence in California, for example, training Mexican migrant women in daycare homes and daycare centers in Montessori. Her work in Mexico in various indigenous villages, including some in the mountains of Quetzalan, where the people named the Montessori school the place where the children awaken. In Peru, in Chile, in Brazil, and in various parts of Central America. But it didn't end there. She worked all over the world, becoming known in a very loving way to her friends and colleagues as La Monja Voladora, the flying nun, because of her travels. Spain, France, Catalonia, Eastern Europe, including Estonia. So if we didn't hear from her for a while, we never knew where she was, and she would end up in some place that we never heard that she had been there. Throughout this lifetime of travel and devotion, she consistently encouraged us to enjoy wherever we were, to celebrate life, and to live a new life was the way that she put it, always based on love. Her radiant smile, her total presence with each person she met, whether it was a child or an adult, and her outgoing personality brought light to everyone she met. May it continue to bless us all.
My favorite moments with Carolina were when we traveled together to different places. We went on vacations in Mexico, visiting different places, in Chile, my country, and also in the States, in Italy and Spain. We had a lovely time talking about life, about Montessori education, about God, our families, about getting to be a better person. It was so nice that we sometimes were talking, and other times we were quiet, just enjoying our companies. So it's been a wonderful time to have met her, and met her family, and she met my family as well, and both of us really began to belong to each family. She was part of the Chilean family, my Chilean family, and I was part of her Mexican family. Up until today, we talk about her. And we also learn a lot about the Montessori education, because she gave us the first training course here, bringing teachers from Mexico and also from the States, excellent persons who really helped start Montessori again in our country. And since then we've been having many trained people in Montessori, and also having helped the very poor families from our country with the Jesuit community, Hogar de Cristo, and another community of a nun from also called Carolina, that she has Cristo Vive with different preschool children who are always in Montessori today. Thank you, Carolina. We love you and we'll never forget you.
Hello, my name is Sister Zorica Blagotinšek. I come from Slovenia. I met Sister Carolina in Rome while studying there. My favorite memory with her is how she was opening all the time windows to have fresh air. So I started to call her Sister of Fresh Air. This nickname she loved very much. And it reminds me how she was bringing fresh air in many ways, opening windows of heart, opening windows of mentality, opening windows of us Ursulines. So I'm happy to continue to have connections with her sisters in Mexico. I feel that her life impacted me, especially with her joy of life.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Pelton, and I am the president of MACD, and it's been almost a year since I had the pleasure of meeting Carolina Gomez del Valle and honoring her with a Wisdom of the Elders Award. I am so honored to have been able to have met her in person and her family. It was quite an occasion. She will be missed.
My favorite memory of Carolina is, well, memories, was when every year she came, she would sing this song and I would jump on her bed over and over and over again. She was nice, she was kind, and she was wonderful.
I met Carolina in the early 1980s at Seton, but didn't really get to know her very well until the summer of 1985 when we shared a living space in the church in Hinsdale. She and I shared the living space with her two nieces and for a while her nephew, so I got an opportunity to see just how much she loved her family and how much she cared for them, what she was willing to do for them. So she was, what I knew of her at that point was she was one smart, dedicated woman who really loved her family. As I got to know her better, I learned a little more about her, the importance of her spiritual life to her. She and I never saw any movies together, but we did have a conversation once about the movie about St. Teresa. And she looked at me and she said, in case you're wondering if how accurate the movie is about the difficulty of the life of a novice nun, she said, it's all true. But she said it was worth it and she wouldn't change her life for anything. I spent some time with her also in this winter of 2007, the centenary in Rome. She was living there at the time, doing some work for the Ursuline Sisters, and I contacted her, and we managed to carve out some time, got to hear lots of stories and insights and observations from her travels around the world and visits to many schools. As we parted that day, I said, well, will I see you at the centenary at any of the events? And she said, oh yeah, I think I'll be there for one. So I didn't press her. I went, and 2 days later, there was Carolina on the big stage leading a panel discussion. Yes, she was there. She was there doing a very important role. And I wondered at the time, is it humility that led her to not tell me what she was going to be doing? And as I've thought back, I don't think so. I think humility is something that Carolina would see as just another way of thinking about yourself. I think she would say, what we need to do is not try to be humble. What we need to do is focus on the child, shine our light on that part of the child that needs that we can help. What else is there about Carolina? Oh, how could I forget fun? She really liked to have fun. And why not? I mean, what good is all the other work that we do and the things we dedicate ourselves to if we can't carve out a little time to enjoy life and have fun? Thank you, Carolina, for all your lessons.
Sister Carolina was my very first trainer, and she taught me the reverence of Montessori, and I will carry that with me forever. She came to Prague, and we took an 11-hour train ride to Slovenia. We laughed and told stories. It was like I won the lottery. Feels like it's forever gold in my pocket. She will live on through all of us forever. I love her. Thank you.
On behalf of myself, Lisa Campick, and my mother, another AMS Living Legacy, Carolyn Campick, we want to say that Carolina was not only a mentor to us, but a good friend and will be in our heart forever. She helped us to learn about this Montessori world, about loving children, about living with children, about finding that essence of life everywhere, literally all around the world, and that's where her work took us. And our work also went around the world in different ways as well. I think her spirit of sharing is something that will stay with all of us forever, and for that I am grateful.
Some of you were blessed as it was to sit at the feet of the Master and hear Carolina teach. I was stunned by her wisdom and her peace that she maintained over all the years I knew her. She was unaffected by around her. Then 20 years ago, I opened a Bible and I found her there. There she was. She was discipling me. She was teaching me in parables, asking me to serve without hesitation. We were missionaries for Montessori. When she was elected to the Vatican, with her head in her hands, she said, "I'm leaving this to a baby." And I to fill her Birkenstocks with very little experience. I tried to fill her place at Seton in California, where 20,000 children were served, in Slovenia, Russia, actually China, a domestic violence shelter, and programs for families experiencing child abuse. How was I in any way worthy to be invited by Carolina on this journey? I could see there was a plan, that there were experiences laid out for me to learn. But the main qualification, and the only one I can think of, is that I was curious. I was curious about children. And now I understand the teacher loves an eager student. I miss you, Caro. I miss being able to ask you a question, thinking this time you might just answer my question, but instead you would respond with 5 questions of me. More than you gave me answers, you taught me to ask the questions, to observe and to respond precisely according to the needs of this individual in this moment, and that is love.
Many words come to mind when I think of Carolina: warmth, wisdom, work, wit, and wonder. I only had the privilege of being in Carolina's presence a dozen or so times, but each of those encounters, wrapped in the warmth of a hug and illuminated by her radiant smile, called me deeper. Deeper in my understanding of the Montessori philosophy, deeper in my appreciation of the marvelous development of the child, deeper in my ability to let go of my own vision so that I might begin to see more clearly, and deeper into the silence of knowing myself. Though her reputation was that of an exacting assessor, as our relationship grew, I looked forward to the warmth and familiarity I knew we'd share in each short encounter. I treasured the ways that she would provoke thought and action within me while we split a modest bowl of soup. And I cherished our conversations about the need for silence and the countless ways that she offered for tending to that essential need. The last time we were together, she left me with a powerful question as we considered the transformational need of the adult who chooses to work with children in our schools. And it was simply this: how will you begin? As we remember and celebrate her life, may we all continue to look for the ways we will begin in carrying her legacy of warmth, and wisdom and wonder into the world. Godspeed, Carol.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Cambick, founder of the North Shore Montessori Schools in Illinois, USA, and AMS 2016 Living Legacy. Our schools and our family are very happy to be part of this tribute to Sister Carolina Gomez. We have known her over the years as she's helped our school with consultations at many areas and worked with our teachers along the way. She is truly a global citizen. I think back of being at a lunch with her at Lovell's Restaurant in Lake Forest, Illinois, with Loretta Wiley, with Malita Cordes from Slovenia, my husband Tony Cambick, my daughter Lisa Cambick, our current head of schools. And we said to her, "What's next, Carolina? What are you doing now?" And she looked and she said, well, God calls and we follow. And she certainly has followed him all over the globe. And she's touched many of us in that process. And we are delighted to honor her today. And we are also happy to be in the company of the very first living legacy, Sister Carolina Gomez. We know her work carries on throughout the world. Thank you.
Sister Carolina. Whenever I think of her, I think of a great Montessori person. She taught me how to think in a Montessori way. She was my mentor. I worked with her in Slovenia, and whenever I saw her and whenever she spoke, she had something important to say. She was just great.
I've had the good fortune of knowing Carolina my whole life. She was someone who was always in my Montessori extended family. She came and stayed at our home regularly throughout my childhood. And as a child, my memory of her was as being one of the adults who would talk to children like a person. She always had a twinkle in her eye whenever she spoke with children, and she would bring me something from wherever she had been around the world, or she would sing a new song, or bring me along in a new game. But she had an immediate connection with children, always, forever. As I matured and grew into adulthood and started considering a career in Montessori education, she was one of the first people that I talked with along my own path. And when I asked her where I should go to pursue Montessori certification, she had only one thing to say, and she said, "Anywhere but Mecca Seton, because you have already known that world. That's the world that Selma, that your mother created. And best to get new experiences. If you're to come back, you will have a different lens." And I followed that advice, and I appreciated that advice. In adulthood, she has been a mentor, a guru, a guide, a friend, and she has done so many interesting things and connected with so many people around the world through her many different walks of life. One of my greatest lessons that she gave me is her real skill and gift for connecting, and through listening, through hearing and seeing people for it didn't matter who they were, if it was the vendor on the street or the president of a big association. She was as present to each one, and she will be missed. She had a great lasting impact on them.
My loving memory of Carolina is when we first heard Katie Lang in concert, and we enjoyed all her music, and Carolina also taught me how to speak in Spanish. She also taught me how to work with the children, and her heart is always loved being with children. I will never ever forget Carolina. She will always be in my heart, always and forever. You will always be in my heart. I love you, always, and I really do miss you a lot. Love you.